I'm Jeremy Walker, I'm 63 years old, and 3 weeks ago I replied to a text message that wasn't meant for me. My daughter-in-law, Constance, left her phone on my kitchen counter. It buzzed. The screen lit up with 7 words that made my blood run cold. I miss you. Can't stop thinking about Thursday. The sender wasn't my son. I could have walked away. Could have pretended I never saw it. Could have let my son Jude live in ignorant bliss with the woman he'd been married to for 5 years. But I didn't. I picked up that phone. And I replied. What happened next exposed a betrayal that went back 25 years. A conspiracy that involved someone I trusted more than anyone in the world. A lie so massive that when the truth finally came out, it didn't just destroy my son's marriage. It destroyed mine. Because the person orchestrating everything? The person who'd been pulling the strings, manipulating lives, blackmailing my daughter-in-law into an affair she never wanted? It wasn't who you think. And when I uncovered the real reason behind it all, when I found out what they'd been hiding from me since my son was born, I stopped being a husband, a father, a good man. I became something else entirely. This is the story of how one text message unraveled 38 years of lies. How revenge became justice, how justice became something darker, and how I learned that sometimes the people you die for are the ones who've been killing you slowly all along. If you want to know who sent that text, who was really behind it, and what I did that I can never take back, you need to subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell. Drop a in the comments if you're ready for the truth. And like this video if you've ever trusted someone you shouldn't have. Let's begin. I wasn't snooping. Let me be clear about that from the start, because everything that happened afterward, every destroyed relationship, every exposed lie, every burned bridge, it all started with something completely innocent. It was a Sunday, October 15th, the kind of crisp Portland afternoon where the leaves are turning gold and the air smells like rain that hasn't fallen yet. My wife, Rosemary, was in the kitchen with Constance, my daughter-in-law, making her famous apple cider. My son, Jude, was in the living room showing me photos from their recent anniversary trip to Cannon Beach. "Dad, look at this one," Jude said, swiping through his phone. 29 years old, my boy. Had my eyes, hazel with those green flecks, but his mother's easy smile. Constance convinced me to get in the water, in October. I thought I was going to die. I laughed. Constance was good for him that way. Pushed him out of his comfort zone. They'd met 6 years ago when Jude hired her real estate firm to find his first house. She'd shown him 17 properties before he admitted he was more interested in the agent than the listings. That's when Constance's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I wouldn't have noticed except the kitchen was only 15 feet away, and in the quiet moment between Jude's stories, the sound cut through clearly. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. The screen lit up. From where I sat, I could see it perfectly. I miss you. Can't stop thinking about Thursday. The sender name. Walker. My last name. But that made no sense. I was Jeremy Walker. Jude was Jude Walker. We were all Walkers here. Except Constance's maiden name was Reeves. My brain did that thing where it tries to rationalize the impossible. Maybe it was a work contact. Someone with the last name Walker. Maybe it was... The phone buzzed again. "When can I see you again? I'm going crazy without you." My stomach dropped. Jude was still talking, something about tide pools and starfish, but his voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. Rosemary was laughing at something Constance said in the kitchen. Normal. Everything was so goddamn normal. I stood up, walked to the kitchen like my legs belonged to someone else. "Honey, I need to grab some water," I said to Rosemary. Constance was stirring the pot, her back to me. 32 years old, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing one of Jude's old college sweatshirts. She looked like someone's wholesome young wife, like someone who baked cookies for neighborhood kids and volunteered at the animal shelter. Her phone was right there, face up, screen still glowing. I picked it up. "Jeremy, there are glasses in the..." Rosemary started to say. "I got it," I said, my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. I looked at the screen. The messages were from someone named Walker in her contacts. I tapped the name, Walker Brennan. The contact card showed a profile picture. A man, early 30s, athletic build, carefully trimmed beard, one of those guys who posts gym selfies and probably owns a protein powder collection. My hands were shaking. I scrolled up through the message thread. 2 weeks ago, Thursday was incredible. You're incredible. Constance's reply, we can't keep doing this. I feel sick every time I lie to Jude. Walker, then tell him. Leave him. Be with me. Constance, it's not that simple. The message cut off. Deleted, maybe. Or never sent. 3 weeks before that. Same hotel, same time. 4 weeks before that, a photo. I couldn't look at it long enough to process details. Didn't want to, but I saw enough. A hotel room. Skin. 2 people who weren't married to each other. I heard footsteps. Constance was walking toward me. I did something I still can't fully explain. Maybe it was rage. Maybe it was some investigator instinct from 35 years of working insurance fraud cases. Maybe I just wanted to burn everything down, right then and there. I typed a reply. Who is this? 3 dots appeared immediately. Very funny, babe. You know who this is. Your favorite Thursday appointment. Constance was 3 feet away now. Jeremy, do you want ice with that water? I deleted my message. Deleted his response. Placed the phone exactly where she'd left it. Screen down. No ice. Thanks, sweetheart. She smiled at me. That sweet daughter-in-law smile that said, I'm so glad you're part of my family. I smiled back, and I thought, you have no idea what you've just set in motion, because I wasn't going to tell Jude. Not yet. I wasn't going to confront Constance. Not yet. I was going to find out everything. Every detail. Every lie. Every person involved. And then I was going to systematically destroy whoever had hurt my son. I walked to the bathroom, locked the door, looked at myself in the mirror, gray stubble, tired eyes, same face I'd had for 63 years. But something had changed behind those eyes. Something cold had switched on. I pulled out my phone and created a new note. Titled it Thursday. Walker Brennan. Constance's affair. Hotel meetings. Thursday pattern. Find out. How long. Where. Why. Then I flushed the toilet for authenticity, washed my hands, and walked back to my family like nothing had happened. Rosemary was plating slices of apple cake. Jude was helping Constance pour cider into mugs. They looked like a Norman Rockwell painting. American Family, Sunday afternoon. Everything okay, Dad? Jude asked. Perfect, I said. Everything's perfect. I took a bite of cake. It tasted like ashes. But I smiled, complimented Rosemary's baking, asked Constance about her latest real estate sale, played the role of devoted father and husband, because that's what you do when you're building a case. You watch, you wait, you document everything. And when you finally have enough evidence to prove what you know in your gut, you don't just expose the affair. You detonate the entire foundation it was built on. For 3 days, I became someone I didn't recognize. I used vacation days from my insurance adjuster job, told them I had a family emergency. Not technically a lie. I was about to create one. Monday morning, Rosemary left for her quilting circle at 9. I watched her drive away from our bedroom window, waited 5 minutes to be safe, then went straight to her office. 38 years of marriage. I'd never snooped on Rosemary. Never had a reason to. She was my rock, my partner, the woman who'd held my hand through my father's funeral, through the cancer scare 3 years ago, through every crisis we'd weathered together. But something Constance had said in that deleted text kept echoing in my head. It's not that simple. She'll what? She'll be upset? She'll tell Jude? Why would Constance worry about someone else's reaction to leaving my son? I started with the obvious. Rosemary's desk drawers, bills, craft supplies, Old birthday cards from Jude. Nothing unusual. Then I found her laptop in the bottom drawer, hidden under fabric samples from her Etsy quilting business. Hidden. Rosemary never hid anything. She left her phone unlocked on the coffee table, read her emails with me sitting right next to her. She was pathologically honest, returned extra change to cashiers, reported her own speeding tickets before I even knew she'd gotten them. So why was her laptop hidden? I opened it. No password. The screensaver was a photo from Jude's wedding, him and Constance under that flower arch, both of them glowing. I opened her email, started with the most recent messages, Garden Club newsletters, Etsy customer orders. Nothing interesting. Then I saw a folder labeled C, Private. C for Constance. My mouth went dry. I clicked it. 47 emails spanning 2 years. I opened the most recent one, sent 11 days ago, 4 days before the text message I'd intercepted. From Rosemary Walker to Constance Reeves Walker. Subject: Careless. Constance, I warned you to be more careful. Jeremy almost saw Walker's name on your phone last month when we were all at dinner. You left it face up on the table. You're getting sloppy, and sloppy means consequences. Remember our agreement. I protect your secret, you protect mine. And you keep up the payments. $2,000 is due this week. Don't make me remind you again. I read it 3 times. My wife, my Rosemary, was blackmailing Constance about the affair, which meant Rosemary had known about Walker Brennan, had known for at least 2 years based on the email dates. And she'd said nothing. To me, to Jude. She'd weaponized it instead. I scrolled to Constance's response, sent the same day. Rosemary, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep lying to Jude. He deserves to know the truth. About Walker, yes, but also about what you did. About what you forced me to do. What she forced her to do? Rosemary's reply came 6 minutes later. If you tell Jude about Walker, I'll tell him about the baby. Your choice. But we both know you won't risk it. You love him too much. Or at least, you love the life he provides too much. The baby. Constance and Jude had been trying to get pregnant for 2 years. Constance had told us it was stress, bad timing, maybe some medical issue they were working through. What baby was Rosemary talking about? I kept scrolling, found an email from 18 months ago. From Rosemary Walker to Constance Reeves Walker. Subject: Appointment confirmed. The clinic is scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. I'll drive you myself. Tell Jude you're showing a property in Beaverton. Dr. Chen is discreet. She won't ask questions. I know this feels impossible right now, but trust me, Constance, this is the only way to protect Jude from a truth he's not ready for. You terminate this pregnancy, we move forward, and I help you conceive properly with my son later. I have connections at the fertility clinic. My vision blurred. Rosemary had forced Constance to have an abortion. But why? If Constance was having an affair, wouldn't the pregnancy risk being Walker's? Unless... I found the answer in an email from 2 months before the abortion. From Rosemary Walker to Constance Reeves Walker. Subject: We need to talk. Constance, I know about Walker Brennan. I've known for 6 months. I followed you to the Heathman Hotel in April. I have photos, timestamps, credit card receipts. But before you panic, you need to understand something about my son. Jude can't have biological children. He's been sterile since he was 19, a complication from the illness he had in college, testicular infection that damaged him permanently. He knows. I made him promise never to tell you before the wedding, because I knew you wanted children desperately. I saw it in your eyes every time you held your sister's baby. So here's what's going to happen. You'll continue seeing Walker, you'll get pregnant, you'll tell Jude it's his. He'll never know the difference. There's no reason for him to test paternity when he thinks everything is normal. And you'll give me the grandchildren I deserve while giving him the family he's always wanted. Everyone wins, Constance. Jude gets to be a father. You get your children. Walker never needs to know he contributed anything but biology. and I stay silent about the affair. This is not negotiable. I stood up, walked to the bathroom, vomited into the toilet. My wife had blackmailed our daughter-in-law into continuing an affair to produce grandchildren she could pass off as Jude's biological children. And Jude, my son, had been lying to me for 10 years about being sterile. No, not lying. Protecting himself from… what? From my judgment? From pity? Or had Rosemary made him keep that secret too? I went back to the laptop, found Constance's response to Rosemary's plan. This is insane. I can't lie to Jude like this. I won't use Walker to… Rosemary, you already are lying to him about Walker. This way, everyone gets what they want. Think about it. 3 days later, Constance replied, "Okay." One word, surrender. But then why the abortion email 18 months ago? I found that answer too. 4 months before the abortion. From Rosemary Walker. Subject, test results. I had the lab run a discrete paternity test on your blood work from your last doctor's appointment. Your obstetrician is a friend. She owed me a favor. The baby isn't Walker's, Constance. The DNA doesn't match, which means you've been sleeping with someone else too. Someone whose genetic markers came back as a match for… Actually, I'd rather discuss this in person. But here's what I know. You're even more careless than I thought, and this changes everything. You'll terminate this pregnancy this week, or I'll show Jude evidence of all your affairs, not just Walker, and destroy you both. Constance's response, "Please. Rosemary, please. It was one mistake. His name is…" The rest was deleted. I sat there staring at the screen, trying to piece it together. Rosemary had orchestrated Constance's affair with Walker to produce grandchildren. But when Constance got pregnant with someone else's baby, not Walker's, Rosemary forced an abortion, which meant Rosemary wasn't just blackmailing Constance, she was controlling every aspect of her reproductive life like some kind of psychopath. And she'd been hiding it all from me for 2 years, maybe longer. I heard the garage door. Rosemary was home early. The garage door rumbled shut. I heard Rosemary's footsteps in the hallway, that familiar rhythm I'd heard for 38 years. Keys dropping in the ceramic bowl by the door. Her purse hitting the bench. "Jeremy, you home?" I was sitting at her desk, her laptop open in front of me. 47 emails of blackmail and manipulation glowing on the screen. "In your office," I called back. Her footsteps stopped. Something in my voice must have registered. That flatness. That cold, dead tone I'd never used with her before. She appeared in the doorway, took one look at me sitting at her desk, at the laptop, at my face, and she knew. "How much did you read?" "Not what are you doing, or I can explain. Just straight to damage control." "All of it." My voice didn't sound like mine. 2 years of blackmail. The abortion you forced Constance to have. The affair you orchestrated with Walker Brennan to produce grandchildren you could pass off as Jude's biological children. Rosemary set her purse down slowly, closed the office door behind her, sat in the chair across from me like we were having a business meeting. Calm, controlled, like I'd just confronted her about overspending at the grocery store. "It's not what you think," she said. "Then explain it to me." I leaned back. Explain how blackmailing our daughter-in-law, forcing her to abort a pregnancy, and manipulating her into an affair for breeding purposes is somehow not what I think. I was protecting Jude. Her hands folded in her lap. Perfect posture. From a truth that would destroy him. That he's sterile? He's known for 10 years, Rosemary. The only person who didn't know was me. Not just that. Her eyes met mine, ice blue, unwavering. From the truth about who he really is, about where he came from. My chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" She stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the garden she'd planted when we moved into this house 30 years ago. Roses and hydrangeas and that Japanese maple Jude had helped her plant for Mother's Day when he was 9. "Jude isn't your biological son, Jeremy." 5 words, delivered like she was commenting on the weather. The room tilted. What? I had an affair in 1995. You were working 80-hour weeks at the firm, never home, and I was lonely. His name was Daniel Westbrook, my college boyfriend. He was in town for a conference. It happened 3 times over 2 weeks. I got pregnant. My hands gripped the armrests of the chair. You're lying. I wish I was. She turned to face me. Jude has Daniel's eyes. Those hazel flecks you always said must come from your grandmother. Daniel's height, Daniel's mathematical mind, his anxiety disorder that runs in the Westbrook family. I've watched Jude become more like Daniel every year and prayed you wouldn't notice. Why are you telling me this now? Because you were going to find out anyway. Because I need you to understand that what I did with Constance, it's not different from what I did with you. I gave you a son. I gave you a family. The biology was irrelevant. You raised him. You loved him. You are his father in every way that matters. I stood up so fast, the chair toppled backward. Don't you dare. Don't you dare compare giving me a son I didn't know wasn't mine to blackmailing Constance into a breeding arrangement. Why not? It's the same principle. I identified what people needed, and I made it happen. You needed to be a father. Jude needed to exist. Constance needed children. I facilitated all of it. You manipulated all of it. You played God with people's lives. Someone had to. Her voice rose for the first time. Do you know what would have happened if I'd told you the truth in 1995? You would have left me. Jude would have grown up in a broken home. And for what? So you could have your precious biological legacy? So you could feel like a real father? That wasn't your choice to make. And yet I made it. And for 29 years we had a beautiful family. You had a son you adored. I had the stability I needed. Jude had a father who showed up for every baseball game and science fair. Where's the harm, Jeremy? I stared at this woman I'd shared a bed with for nearly 4 decades. This stranger. The harm, I said slowly, is that you built it all on lies. The harm is that you blackmailed Constance into continuing an affair and then forced her to abort a pregnancy because it didn't fit your grand plan. The harm is that you've been paying God with other people's lives for so long you can't even see how insane this is. Insane? She laughed, actually laughed. I'm the only sane one in this family. I'm the only one willing to make hard choices so everyone else can live in blissful ignorance. What happened to the pregnancy Constance aborted? The one that wasn't Walker's? Rosemary's face flickered, just for a second. Something that might have been shame. The paternity test came back with a match in the genetic database. Someone Constance had been with before Walker. Someone whose DNA was flagged. Who? Does it matter? Who, Rosemary? She looked away. Your nephew, Jude's cousin, Kevin. The floor dropped out from under me. Kevin, my brother's son, 27 years old, had been staying with us last year when his apartment flooded, had been around Constance constantly during those 3 weeks. Oh, God, I whispered. She said it happened once. A mistake. Too much wine after a family dinner. Kevin doesn't even know. But I couldn't let Jude raise his own cousin's child thinking it was his. That would have been... You terminated the pregnancy to protect your breeding program. My voice was hollow, because it was the wrong genetic material. I did what was necessary. I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the woman who'd held my hand at my mother's funeral, who'd nursed me through pneumonia, who'd made Jude's favorite birthday cakes from scratch every year, and I saw someone I'd never actually known at all. I want you out, I said quietly. Jeremy, I want you out of this house. Out of Jude's life, out of Constance's life. You don't get to manipulate them anymore. You can't make me leave. This is my house, too. Then I'll leave, and I'll take Jude and Constance with me, after I tell them everything. Her face went white. You wouldn't. Watch me. I didn't sleep that night. Rosemary tried to talk to me twice, once at midnight standing in the bedroom doorway, and again at 3 a.m. when I was sitting in the dark living room. Both times I said the same thing. We have nothing to discuss until I decide what to tell Jude." She went pale both times, went back to the guest room she'd moved into. At 6 a.m., I called Constance. "Jeremy?" Her voice was thick with sleep. "Is everything okay? Is Jude?" "Jude's fine, but I need to talk to you. Alone. This morning. Don't tell Rosemary, don't tell Jude. Just meet me." Silence. Then, "You know." "I know everything. Danny's on Powell. 7:30. I hung up before she could respond. She was already in a booth when I arrived, hands wrapped around a coffee cup she hadn't touched. She looked like she hadn't slept either. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing yesterday's clothes. I slid into the booth across from her. "How much did she tell you?" Constance asked. "She didn't tell me anything. I found her emails. All of them. Walker, the abortion, the blackmail, the breeding plan." I paused. "Kevin." Constance closed her eyes. "Oh, God." "Did Kevin know?" "No. It happened once. We were both drunk after Thanksgiving. I felt sick about it immediately. When I found out I was pregnant 2 months later, I thought it was Walker's, until Rosemary showed me the paternity results." Her voice cracked. "She didn't even ask me what I wanted. She just scheduled the appointment and told me if I didn't go through with it, she'd tell Jude about all of it. Walker, Kevin, everything." "And you believed her." "Jeremy, she had photos of me and Walker at the hotel, of me and Kevin in your guest room. She'd been following me, tracking my phone, collecting evidence for months. She had recordings of phone calls. She had credit card receipts. She had everything." I believed her. That was exactly the kind of meticulous, obsessive documentation Rosemary would compile. "Why didn't you just leave Jude?" I asked. "If it was this bad?" Constance's eyes filled with tears. "Because I love him. I know that sounds insane after everything I did. But I do. Walker was a mistake. A stupid escape from the pressure of trying to get pregnant, from Rosemary's constant comments about grandchildren, from feeling broken because nothing was working. And Kevin was just, God, I don't even have an excuse for Kevin. Too much wine and too much loneliness. But you stayed, and you let Rosemary manipulate you for 2 years. What choice did I have? She said she'd ruin Jude, too, that she'd tell him I married him for money, that I never loved him, that I was using him. She had fake text messages ready, doctored emails, a whole narrative prepared. And Jude, her voice broke. Jude already thinks he's not enough because of the sterility issue. If I'd left, if Rosemary had destroyed me with those lies, it would have broken him. I studied her face, saw genuine anguish there, genuine love for my son underneath all the mistakes. "Did you know about me?" I asked. "That Jude isn't my biological son?" She nodded miserably. "Rosemary told me 6 months ago. Said if I tried to leave or tell Jude the truth, she'd tell you about Daniel Westbrook and destroy your marriage too. She had her hooks in everyone, Jeremy. She's been orchestrating this whole family like we're chess pieces." I sat back, processed that. Constance wasn't the villain here. She was collateral damage. We both were. "I have a plan," I said, "but I need your help, and you need to trust me." She looked up. Hope flickered in her eyes for the first time. "What kind of plan?" "The kind that exposes Rosemary without destroying Jude, the kind that gives you a chance to come clean on your own terms, and the kind that makes sure she can never manipulate anyone in this family again. Jude will hate me. Maybe. Or maybe he'll understand that you were trapped. Either way, he deserves the truth. And you deserve to stop living under Rosemary's control." Constance wiped her eyes. "What do you need me to do?" I pulled out a folder. Inside were printed copies of every email, every Venmo transaction, every piece of evidence I'd compiled. "First, we document everything. Then we get you a lawyer, one who specializes in coercion and blackmail. Then we tell Jude. Together. You, me, and the evidence. We don't let Rosemary control the narrative anymore. And if he leaves me, then at least you'll be free of her, and you can rebuild your life with honesty instead of lies." Constance took the folder with shaking hands. "Why are you helping me? After what I did to your son?" "Because Rosemary did worse, and because I think underneath all these mistakes you actually love Jude. Am I wrong?" "No." She met my eyes. "I love him more than anything." "Then prove it. Help me take down the woman who's been destroying all of us." She nodded. "Okay, what's first?" I smiled, not a happy smile, a dangerous one. "First, we called Jude, and we schedule a family meeting, all four of us, tomorrow night. Rosemary will never agree to. She doesn't get a choice, because if she refuses, I'll tell Jude everything anyway, and she knows it." Constance took a shaky breath. "This is really happening." "It's already happened. We're just bringing it into the light." The dining room had never felt smaller. Jude sat across from me, confusion written all over his face. He'd arrived 15 minutes early, like he always did, punctual to a fault. My son in every way that mattered, even if Daniel Westbrook's DNA ran through his veins. "Dad, what's this about? You sounded weird on the phone." Constance sat beside him, hands folded in her lap. She'd worn a simple blue dress, no makeup, like she was preparing to be seen clearly for the first time in years. Rosemary was late. Intentionally, I was sure. One last power play. "We need to wait for your mother," I said. "Is someone sick? Is it serious?" Jude's leg bounced under the table. Anxiety. That Westbrook trait Rosemary had mentioned. Nobody's sick, but it is serious. The front door opened. Rosemary's heels clicked across the hardwood. She entered the dining room like she was walking into a business meeting she'd already won. Composed, hair perfect, that calm mask firmly in place. She saw the folder on the table between us. Her eyes flickered. "What's this, Jeremy?" "Sit down, Rosemary." "I'd rather stand." "Sit down." Something in my voice made her obey. She lowered herself into the chair at the head of the table, her usual spot, the matriarch's throne. I opened the folder, pulled out the first email, slid it across to Jude. "Son, I need you to read this, all of it, and I need you to know that whatever you feel after, anger, betrayal, hatred, it's valid, and I'm here." Jude picked up the paper, started reading. His expression shifted from confusion to shock to something that looked like he'd been physically struck. "What is this?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Read the next one," I said gently. He did, then the next, and the next. I watched my son's world collapse in real time, watched him learn about Walker Brennan, about his mother's blackmail, about the pregnancy Constance had been forced to terminate. "Mom," he looked at Rosemary. "Tell me this is fake. Tell me Dad made this up." "I can explain," Rosemary started. "Did you blackmail Constance? Yes or no?" Silence. "Yes or no, Mom?" "I protected you." Rosemary's composure cracked. "From a truth that would have destroyed you. Constance was having an affair. I simply redirected it toward what?" Jude stood up, the chair scraping violently. "Toward getting her pregnant with someone else's baby so you could have grandchildren. So you could manipulate us like lab rats. You wanted to be a father. She wanted children. I made it possible. You made me a victim." Jude's voice broke. "You turned my marriage into a science experiment." He looked at Constance. "Walker Brennan. How long?" 2 years. Constance's tears were already falling. "I'm so sorry, Jude. I tried to stop it. I tried to tell you so many times, but she threatened. Were you going to tell me about the baby? I didn't know it wasn't Walker's until your mother ran the paternity test without my permission. And then she forced me to—" Her voice failed. Whose baby was it? This was the moment I'd been dreading. I pulled out the next document. "Kevin's," I said quietly. "Your cousin. It happened once. Constance was drunk. Kevin doesn't know, and your mother made her terminate the pregnancy when the DNA didn't fit her plan. Jude turned to Rosemary. The look on his face was something I'd never seen before. Pure devastation mixed with rage. You ended a pregnancy because the genetics weren't convenient. It was your cousin's child, Jude. It would have been my child, if Constance wanted to keep it, if we'd decided together. But you took that choice away from both of us. I was protecting you from raising another man's. I'm sterile, Mom. I've known since I was 19. Any child I raise will be another man's biologically. That's not the point. The point is, you played God with our lives. Rosemary stood up. I gave you a life. I gave you a father who loved you even though what? Jude's voice went deadly quiet. She froze, realized her mistake. Even though what, Mom? I pulled out the final document, the one I'd debated showing him, the paternity test results comparing Jude's DNA to mine. Even though I'm not your biological father, I said. Your mother had an affair in 1995 with Daniel Westbrook. You're his son, genetically. The room went silent. Jude looked at the paper, at me, at Rosemary, back to the paper. You've known this for how long? He asked me. 3 days. And you? He turned to Rosemary. You've known for 29 years. She said nothing. Say something, Jude shouted. Explain to me why everyone in this family has been lying about who I am, where I came from, what I can't have. Explain to me why my entire life has been a lie. Because I loved you, Rosemary whispered. Because I wanted you to have a perfect family. Because you're a coward, Jude said. Because you couldn't handle the truth, so you buried it. And you buried all of us with it. He turned to Constance. Did you know about Dad? Not until 6 months ago, when your mother told me. She used it to blackmail you into staying silent about your affair. Yeah, I'm getting the pattern. Jude laughed bitterly. Jesus Christ, this whole family is built on blackmail and lies. He looked at me. Are you still my dad? Biologically aside, are you still my dad? I stood up, walked around the table, put my hands on his shoulders. I'm your father. Biology is just genetics. But I raised you. I chose you every single day for 29 years. That doesn't change. Jude broke, completely, collapsed into my arms and sobbed like he was 8 years old again. Over his shoulder, I looked at Rosemary. Get out, I said. Pack a bag tonight. I want you gone by morning. The lawyer will contact you about divorce proceedings. Jeremy, please. You don't get to manipulate us anymore. It's over. She looked at Jude, at Constance, back to me, and for the first time in 38 years, I saw Rosemary Walker truly defeated. She left without another word. 3 months later, I signed the final divorce papers in my attorney's office. Rosemary didn't contest anything. She took her settlement, modest, fair, and moved to Arizona. She sent one email, forwarded through the lawyers. I'm sorry for all of it. I hope someday you can understand I thought I was protecting everyone. I was wrong. R. I deleted it. Then I undeleted it. Saved it in a folder I haven't opened since. Jude and Constance are in therapy, twice a week. They separated for 6 weeks. Constance moved into an apartment downtown while they worked through everything individually and together. Last month, Jude called me. Dad, I'm taking Constance back. Not because I have to, because I want to. Because underneath all of Mom's manipulation, I still see the woman I fell in love with. And she's fighting like hell to earn back my trust. Are you sure? I asked. No, but I'm sure I want to try. That was good enough for me. Walker Brennan sent Constance a text 2 weeks after the confrontation. Why are you ghosting me? She blocked his number, cut off all contact, quit the gym where they'd met, started over. Kevin still doesn't know about the pregnancy. We decided some truth served no purpose except causing pain. That one, we buried. As for me, I bought a smaller house in Selwood, started volunteering at the community center teaching financial literacy, started therapy of my own because, turns out, Finding out your entire marriage was built on lies does some damage. But the strangest thing happened. I feel lighter. For 38 years, I carried the weight of trying to be the perfect husband, the perfect father, the perfect man. I bent myself into shapes to fit Rosemary's vision of what our family should be. And now that it's shattered, I'm finding out who Jeremy Walker actually is when nobody's watching. Jude came over last week with Chinese takeout. We sat on my new back porch, eating lo mein and talking about nothing important. Baseball, work, the weather. "Dad," he said eventually, "are you happy?" I thought about it. Really thought. "Yeah," I said, "I think I am. Are you?" Getting there. Constance and I are talking about trying for kids. Real trying. IVF with a donor. Maybe adoption. But this time, no secrets. No lies. Just honesty and whatever family we build from that. That sounds perfect. You'll be Grandpa, no matter how it happens. I wouldn't miss it for the world. We clinked our beer bottles together. Two men who'd learned they weren't biologically related but discovered that blood is just biology. Family is choice. Last week, I got a card in the mail. Arizona postmark. Inside, a photo of Rosemary in a garden, smiling next to another woman about her age. On the back, "Started over, learning to let go. Hope you're well. R." I put it on my refrigerator. Not because I forgive her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But because it reminds me that people can change. That even someone who caused so much damage can try to rebuild themselves into something better. Jude asked me if I'd ever tell him who Daniel Westbrook is. If I'd help him find his biological father. "That's your choice," I said. "But he's just genetics. I'm your dad." "I know," Jude said. "But maybe I need to meet him. To understand where I come from. Not to replace you. Just to know. Then I'll help you find him. When you're ready." That's what love is. Not controlling someone's story. Just being there while they write it. I don't regret picking up Constance's phone that Sunday afternoon. I don't regret replying to Walker's text. I don't regret exposing Rosemary's manipulation. Because the truth, painful, messy, devastating as it was, set all of us free. Jude is building an honest marriage. Constance is becoming the woman she was before blackmail, and fear twisted her into someone else. And I'm learning that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. Sometimes you have to burn down everything you thought was real to find out what actually matters. The ashes hurt. But what grows from them? That's worth everything. This is where I leave you. Not with a perfect ending, because life doesn't give those, but with an honest one. If this story meant something to you, if you saw yourself in the lies, the betrayal, the choice to burn it all down for truth, then do me a favor. Subscribe for more true stories about real people navigating the messiest parts of being human. Smash that like button if you felt something. Share this with someone who needs to hear that the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than a beautiful lie. Comment below and tell me, would you have exposed Rosemary? Would you have forgiven Constance? Would you have helped Jude find Daniel Westbrook? I want to hear your thoughts, because that's what stories are for, to help us figure out what we do when the world catches fire. This is Jeremy Walker. Thank you for walking this road with me. And remember, family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart. I'll see you in the next story. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. Peace.